A very good evening to all our friends from the press fraternity. At the very outset, I would like to thank you all for taking your time out during this very busy festive season and coming for this press conference. I also would like to give my compliments of the season to each and every one of you. Today, I had visited Makhel village. There was a Mao Student Union's 88th anniversary and conference was held out there. It was also a heritage conclave meant to promote and also to develop Makhel area as a heritage village from the aspect of the Naga culture and the overall aspect of the entire tradition that and the history and significance that is attached with Makhel village. And it's a very, very positive move. It is an objective. The objective is to really get back to the grassroots and also get back to the identity. And the Mao Students Union and the local villagers have taken the initiative to promote that. And so along with the 88th annual conference, this Makhel Heritage Conclave also was held. I was invited there as the chief guest for today's program. And along with me, the Deputy Chief Minister of Manipur and the local MLA and other ministers were also present. It was a very positive meeting, and there were a lot of participants from all over. While returning, I decided that I will stop over and meet some of the party leaders. So after this, I will be going to the party office and just interacting with the party leaders. As you also know that elections are there in Manipur. So after the conclave, we also had a brief meeting with some of the senior party leaders from Manipur State Unit of the NPP. And following that, as I said, while returning back to Guwahati today and proceeding to Delhi tomorrow for the annual budget discussion along with the finance minister tomorrow, I have decided to stop here and meet all of you and also the party leaders. So this is a small brief of my visit to Manipur and to Nagaland, and I'm open for any questions if you have any. Thank you very much. Would like to ask any questions?
So you came here today or?
So I have, I traveled yesterday from my constituency, which is in Tura, by road, and I reached Kohima at 9 o'clock in the night, and then in the morning I left to Mao and then to Makhel village, and I'm returning back from there now, and we're proceeding back to Shillong, to Guwahati.
Currently, there's the topic of Afspa going on in Nagaland, and as we're all aware, we have also made a stand on this. So, tell us, what was it that caused the union government to revoke the act in Meghalaya, and how big a role did the state government of Meghalaya play in convincing the people in Delhi to relent to the demand to revoke Afspa from Meghalaya? And what, according to you, have been the reasons and causes for the extension of Afspa in Nagaland?
Okay, so you asked me multiple questions there.
Yeah.
I will try to answer as many as possible. Number one, the stand of the NPP and my personal stand on Afspa has been there for the last 20 years. If you look at my speeches in the elections in Manipur in 2002, you will hear the same words and language that I used then and the language I'm using now. So therefore, it's not a new stand that we took. And this was a stand that even our leader, late P.S. Sangma, was very firm about. That's number one. So it's something that's very, very important, and we strongly feel that this kind of an act, a draconian act, does not have place in the kind of society and democracy that we have today in our country. Number two, there were many circumstances that led to the repeal, or I should say the removal of Afspa from Meghalaya. And a lot had to do with the law and order situation improving. We saw that law and order had really improved in the sense that there were very, very minimum incidents taking place in the state of Meghalaya in terms of insurgency. At the same time, there was a huge push from the state government. As I said, we have been really very, very aggressive about it, and we have always stood and maintained our stand that we want Afspa to be repealed. And so state governments also play a very important role because, again, law and order is a situation which is handled by the state government. Then, of course, a lot of lobbying and a lot of persuasion has to be done in Delhi. So all these factors put together had convinced Delhi, and we are thankful to the government of India, especially to the Home Ministry, for having repealed the Armed Forces Special Power Act from Meghalaya, the 10 kilometers from the border of Assam, which provision they had earlier. Coming to the situation here, of course, here also the overall in Nagaland, of course, the reasons, detailed reasons are not something that I'm privy to. I'm sure that the state government and the central government have been talking about this particular issue. So right now, with the incidents that took place in the last month, we have seen that it is clearly shown that Afspa has been something that has only been counterproductive to this entire issue of insurgency in the state of Nagaland and in the region as a whole. So therefore, overall, when we are seeing that the economic condition, economic situation is improving, there is a very positive messaging from Government of India. Government of India is giving a lot of focus on the Northeast. So while all of this is happening, this message of repealing the Afspa would send a very strong confidence-building message to the people. So therefore, we as a political party are very, very firm on our stand, and we want this to be repealed. It's not just from Nagaland, as I said, from most regions of the Northeast. We feel that while we are moving in a positive direction in terms of economic development, this particular law is just not going with the entire story of the growth story of the Northeast as a whole. So therefore, it should be repealed. The Government of India has put up a panel, and this panel is now examining this aspect. We have only requested that this panel should look into broader regional requirement, not just Nagaland, but since Nagaland is in the middle of the epicenter, I should say, as of now, about the issue. So therefore, it should be repealed in Nagaland and also in other parts of the Northeast. So we urge both the state government and the central government to work towards ensuring that this particular act is repealed from the state of Nagaland.
Is Nagaland prepared to handle the law and order if Afspa is repealed? And considering the internal problems and issues that is present right now in the state?
You see, one cannot say that there can be a solution in one go. We are not neither claiming that things will be okay or not, with something which really is difficult to say for us right now. But definitely Afspa is not helping. That's what we're trying to say. Can we solve everything if Afspa is not there? We can't say. But we know for sure that Afspa is not helping the entire situation. So that's really what our point is. When we're looking at a situation like this, we need to understand that that insurgency is a result of a lot of other socio-economic problems. So here we are trying to address insurgency, which is a result of the socio-economic problems, by using military force. So therefore, the entire process of finding a solution to the problem, I feel, is not in the right way. So we need to have, of course, security measures. We need to have force as and when required, but not in this form. It cannot be in this form. Number two, it has to go hand in hand with other socio-economic activities which will build up the overall economic avenues for the people. Third and most important thing is that there needs to be trust between all the stakeholders. So therefore, repeal of the Afspa at this point in time would create a very strong message for trust and confidence building. And the trust deficit which may be there present right now could, to some extent, be brought down, and some confidence building could come up, which is very important when we are talking of resolving situations like these. And therefore, as I said, we are not saying that whether we are ready or not to handle the situation if it is repealed. But as I said, we have clearly seen in the last many decades that Afspa being there has not really helped. It has really been counterproductive in many sense. And as I said, it has something that has really aggravated the situation in a lot of cases. And the recent incident that happened is yet another example of that counterproductivity. Last question.
This was, they said regarding the Oting incident, they said that they'll be replacing the AR battalion with another battalion. So what difference is it going to make?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this part. Well, I'll take your word for it that they are going to change. But you're right that it's just a superficial kind of a move, and it's not really going to have the real impact at the grassroots level. So for the real impact to be there, they will need to do something with the law in itself, not just by replacing the people. Replacing the people, yes, maybe a kind of a temporary measure just to cool down things and take out the way the people who could have been responsible for this. But as I said, in the long term, this will not be the solution. So you're absolutely right. We'll have to find another way, that is by repealing the law, and that's the only way to really move forward and build up the confidence among the people.
The state NTP as well as the other political party, when they tried to visit Oting after the incident, they were not allowed to do so by the present state government. So what do you have to say on that?
Well, we don't know what the reasons were that the state government at that point did not allow. Maybe they were worried that there would be aggravation and emotions may come out. So maybe the state government had that in mind. Really difficult to say about what really was the intention of the government. But the objective of the NPP was really to appeal for peace and to ensure that we are there to be with the people in the time of need, and we wanted to show our support to them. And that's really what the objective of the party was when we went there. And that's what we did also. But I'm guessing that the state government was concerned that multiple visits by different political leaders could aggravate the situation, which sometimes is a concern, as I also run a government. So these are concerns that do come up when we look at law and order situation. So it could be, but as I said, what happened was not right. As I said, we were trying to only help, and we were only trying to meet the people who had been very affected by what had happened, and trying to show our support in whatever way possible. But as I said, state government might have had the reasons which are not not known to us.
Last question from me. The Chief Minister of Nagaland and the Home Minister had gone to meet Amit Shah just very recently, but the civil society organizations, the Konyak Civil Society, expressed, they were displeased that not even a leader of any civil society organization was attending that meeting just to discuss the incident plus the repeal of Afspa. So do you think that a civil society organization leader should also have been present, especially from Konyak area, to tell them the ground reality of exactly what happened?
Well, the meeting was called at the level of the Home Minister of India, and the objective was to form the committee. That's what we could make out. So really it's difficult for me to comment on what were the reasons why they did not call the civil society. But you're absolutely right. Ultimately, when we want to resolve an issue like this without having the stakeholders and the community and the civil society being part of this, we will never be able to find an acceptable and a long-lasting solution to this. So why they didn't call, it's difficult for me to say, but they should have called. And I'm sure if they have not called, then I'm sure there will be an exercise where they will call civil society, and they should call. And I will be visiting Delhi, as I said, tomorrow. I have a meeting with the finance minister. And also I'll be meeting, I have sought an appointment with the Home Minister. I will be also personally briefing the situation, which I've collected and gathered information from Nagaland regarding the incident. And I would also brief him from my side on the situation that is prevailing out here right now. Thank you. One more?
Yeah. Regarding Assam border, Assam Meghalaya border issue,
Yeah.
there is an allegation that there is pressure from Meghalaya side on the border people to be with the with Meghalaya?
You see, one has to understand where we're coming from. Now, for many, many years, we have been producing documents from our side, and Assam has been producing documents from their side. And the meetings always ended with status quo as the final decision. What we have felt is that we need a new approach. And for a new approach to be there, we feel that we need to have different yardsticks now. So first is that we felt that the will of the people is important. We need to understand what is it that the people living in that area want. We need to understand what about the contiguity. Is it a Khasi population, or is it a Raba population, or is there a Nepali population, then Assamese population? We need to see that contiguity in terms of villages and the ethnicity out there. We need to see what ethnicity, in fact, lives out there. We need to see what are the aspects of administrative convenience for the people living in that area. So we decided that we need to go broader than just simply historical facts, to really look into more micro details of the problem. And that's when we started things. Now, the areas where we went to in West Khasi Hills, out of the 36 in the list that we have, that in 3 locations, Gizang, Tarabari and Hahim, there are 36 villages according to the Meghalaya records. And out of these 36 villages, approximately plus minus, I could be wrong by 2-3%, approximately about 3-4 villages, to say maximum 5 villages, are non-Garo, and rest are Garo villages, which means they are more towards Meghalaya in terms of ethnicity, though there are Garos in Assam also. So it is just a kind of extension of that aspect, and the people living in those areas, since are more Garos, they have expressed their desire. So that is the background of what happened. Now, the question of we going and mobilizing or I think does not arise. I've explained this to our counterparts in Assam, that there is absolutely no question. We are trying to find an amicable solution. We will respect each other. We will ensure that we always do what is best in the interest of the people living in those areas, and also in the interest of ensuring that we find a long-term solution, because we feel that people in the border areas have suffered too long. These kind of incidents have just unnecessarily created a lot of problem. And we strongly feel that out of the 12 areas of differences, Meghalaya and Assam will be able to come to some kind of a conclusion very soon on few of those areas, because we felt that there was unanimity in some of the areas, and we saw that we are both agreeing on certain areas, and there are certain areas which require a bit more discussion, but we will look into that as the time comes. So I just thought I'll give you a broad idea of the circumstances under which these are happening, so that you don't get the wrong context. So that's the whole history. And as I said, I repeat that there is no question of Meghalaya or Assam or anybody trying to influence the people. The people have their own mind. They will make their own choice or decision. And the state governments and the chief ministers will sit down and take a final call on how we'll move forward in this.
One more question. The state NPP have condemned the statement given by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah in the parliament. So what do you also have to say on that regard, the statement given by the Union Home Minister?
Yes, the statement that was given mentioned about the fact that they had tried to stop the people, and of course they didn't stop. Is that what the statement that was given? But we clearly heard from the individual one of the survivors who was there, who clearly stated from the grassroots, he was right there, of course, when it happened, and they were fired upon. And he clearly mentioned that that they were never stopped. They were never asked to stop. So there clearly seems to be some kind of incorrect message that has come in, an incorrect statement that has been laid. So therefore, definitely, this is something I will bring to the notice of the Honorable Home Minister. As I said, I'm sought an appointment to meet him, and I will bring this to his notice. So these are the points that I've collected from my side, which I need to bring in. But yes, the fact remains that that they were not asked to stop is what the statement from the people over on the ground.
The Union Home Minister should take back his word?
Yeah, I'll be speaking to him about that. It's something that I will be talking to him once I speak to him and discuss with him. Then these are sensitive matters. One has to understand that we're dealing with the government of India, and this is a situation where we require to resolve the issue, or which is really the repeal of the Afspa. So we will take this in a manner that we can actually come to the right conclusion and not try to create a situation where we are talking about one statement given by somebody and one statement given by somebody else. We need to understand that, as I said, that the goal is to get the Afspa removed. So what dialogue and discussion will help us to achieve that is what is important. So I'll be handling it at my level, and I'll be mentioning it to him and discuss with him on how we should, correct it or, make another statement about it. And I'll also hear from his side what he has to say, where the reports came from. So all these points, which I didn't want to mention, but since you mentioned it, these are things that I've collected from my side, and I'll be speaking to him when I meet him. Hopefully, I'll be getting an appointment on the 30th to meet him. Thank you.